This 2009 Hyundai Accent was recently traded in at a dealership and they deemed it uncleanable. So, they brought it to me. Buckle up as I take on the massive job of restoring this destroyed smoker's car to a like-new condition after 15 years of total abuse. The smell is nauseating, the mess even worse, and what I find in here will leave you absolutely disgusted. Okay guys, well, as I mentally prepare myself for the nightmare that I have to deal with inside this car, I think it's pretty clear that as I work on the pre-wash rinse here, that the outside has been abused just as heavily as the inside. I'm guessing at this point that there likely won't be a whole heck of a lot to work with here, as the paint that isn't missing or rusted out is probably swirled like crazy, so while that is unfortunate, most of my time will be spent inside the car, as the goal for today is to get it as clean as possible and back to a sellable condition. Now as I work on spraying off the back here, you might wonder why the license plate is still on, because I always remove them to be able to clean behind them, but this one didn't want to come off. The screws were stripped, and despite my best efforts, I couldn't get them out, as I didn't want to risk damage to the car, so the plate stays on today unfortunately. Moving up to the front end where it's completely covered by bug guts that I wouldn't be surprised if they've been here for years, so there's no question to me that the clear coat is going to have been permanently etched underneath. My typical response to that would be to say that paint correction could remove the etching and improve the appearance of the paint, but given the 15 years of neglect this car has seen, it would be foolish to even attempt it. There's not going to be much clear coat left to work with at this point, and with the rest of the exterior looking the way it does, it would just be wasted effort. Okay, since the pressure washer was only able to remove some of the bug guts earlier, my bug remover is going to have to handle the rest, so I'll get some sprayed on, let it sit for about a minute before I foam up the car, and then when I use my wash bin on them, they should just wipe right off. Alright guys, the moment you've all been waiting for is here. It's time to get these seats removed and start ripping out the rest of the interior, because the mess in here is absolutely horrifying. I've cleaned a lot of incredibly dirty and nasty vehicles in my life, but there's no question this is one of the worst. Of course, before I can start removing some of the trim pieces and the center console, I need to remove all the loose items in here, most of which is garbage, cigarette butts, and dog food, but there are a couple of things that need to be saved, like the handle for the scissor jack, and of course the spare change, which I'll gather up and return to the dealership with the car when I'm done. Now, just so you guys can fully appreciate how truly disgusting this car is, I figured I'd take you in for a closer look as I gather up some of the cigarette butts, old dog food, and giant clumps of dog hair. Moving over to the driver's side now, and knives seem to be the theme on this side, as there's a drywall knife, a utility knife, and then the case for what appears to be a very large and likely very sharp knife, which I have to think is probably in the vehicle somewhere, though turning my attention to the center storage compartment that's been turned into an ashtray, and I just have to say that it never ceases to amaze me at how some people treat their vehicles. Alright, well after finding the knife, which I'd love to know why a person needs to have that in their door's storage compartment, I'll get the rear seat bottoms removed as well, since it's going to be easier to vacuum up all the dog hair on them if they're outside the car, and of course there's a big mess underneath them to clean too. And then 3 quick bolts later, and the center console is ready to come out as well, including the shifter boot, which so nicely had a zipper on it to make it super easy to remove. Okay, as I continue vacuuming now, you're probably noticing the sheer level of dirt and dog hair in this carpet. I can't say that I've ever dealt with something like this before where you couldn't even see the carpet underneath the mess, but I can tell you that this isn't going to be an easy job today. Using the crevice tool is critically important as it gives my central vac the most amount of suction possible, but even then the dog hair is so deeply embedded in the carpet that I know it's not all going to come out. Even after using the lily brush on it, which you'll see really does work wonders, I can tell that perfection just isn't possible today. My process here is to get as much of the hair out as I can with the vacuum, then use the lily brush on what's left, and anything left after that, well, I should be able to pull a couple more hairs out when I use the extractor in a little bit, but this is one of those situations where I have to adjust my expectations to reality. As much as I want to get every single hair out of here, it would require hours and hours of time spent with tweezers plucking them all out, which just isn't practical at all. I was upfront with the dealership about this, and they're fully accepting of that. They said they'd be thrilled if I just got it clean enough for them to sell, but I won't consider this a success until the interior almost looks new again. Now up here in the driver's footwell there isn't too much for dog hair, but I do want to say that if there's anyone out there who's thinking that this mess isn't real and it's fabricated somehow, well, you need to give your head a shake. It takes years and years of abuse and never cleaning the interior at all for a vehicle to end up looking like this. It would be completely impossible to try to manufacture a mess like this overnight. So while there are some creators out there who do that sort of thing, you know, like when the entire interior of a car is coated in mud, you aren't going to find lies on this channel. Starting on the seats now, and it's probably hard for you guys to appreciate just how stuck in this dog hair is. Sometimes, depending on the type of dog and upholstery, it can be really easy to pull the hairs out, and other times, like today, it could be a nightmare. This is definitely a worst case scenario here, as the hair wants to stay in and the fabric doesn't want to let it go. And then there's just a ton of it. So to my earlier point, I'll do my very best to get every hair out of these that I possibly can. Okay, turning my attention to all the interior trim now that's caked with dust, and as usual, while I've still got the vacuum out, I'll go around with my boar's hair detail brush to agitate some of this dust loose, especially in the crevices, air vents, and glove box, as its slightly stiff bristles are great for digging out dirt. For those of you who enjoy detailing your own vehicles, this is a tool I'd highly recommend having. You can find them over on my website at detailgeekautocare.com, where the ultra soft version is also available, and those are perfect for the more sensitive areas in a vehicle that scratch easily. Okay, after 5 solid hours of vacuuming, most of that spent trying to get all the dog hair out, this is what was sucked out of the accent today. Yikes. Moving inside to the carpet now, and it doesn't take long to see that there's some really nasty stuff in here. Kinda looks like the carpets are saturated with tar from all the cigarette smoke, because that's exactly the same color as what I found coating all the interior plastics from the Ford Escape I did a couple of weeks ago. When a vehicle has been smoked in as heavily as this one has, the tar literally coats every single surface inside the car. The only thing is that with this interior being black, it's harder to see on the plastics. But I think it's pretty clear the carpets are full of it. Working my way around the carpet now, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed so far at how good the carpet is turning out. With carpet this dirty and saturated, plus the fact that it's about the lowest quality of carpet you can find in a vehicle, that's not a good combination if perfectly clean carpets is the goal. I'm going to attribute these results to the incredible cleaning power of my carpet cleaner and drill brush combo. Here's the bucket full of tar water pulled out of the accent today, and even though this is super gross, it pales in comparison to what you'll see removed from the center console. Now for the passenger side door that's covered in dirt and tar, I'll follow the usual process of all-purpose cleaner and the steamer, but while I do that, I wanted to ask you guys for a quick favor. If you've made it this far into the video, I'm guessing you're enjoying it, so if you haven't already hit the like button or subscribe to the channel, then I would greatly appreciate if you did that right now. The algorithm can be pretty fickle these days, so it would be a big help if you could do that. And after you do, go ahead and let me know down in the comments which part of this video did you think was the grossest. Was it the seats, the center console, the carpets,
all the dog hair?
I know there were a ton to choose from, so let me know what you guys thought. Okay guys, here's the rubber insert from the center console I removed earlier that happens to be caked with cigarette ash since the previous owner clearly used this as an ashtray, but I'll admit, I honestly was not prepared for this. The instant I started steaming it, the black sludge just started pouring out. Yeah, there's really no words for how gross this is. Okay, turning to the rest of the center console now, which might be even grosser, and before I could even start, I had to get a flat screwdriver and dig out a thick layer of nastiness? I don't know what else to call it, but it looks to be a mixture of tar, cigarette ash, and dog hair. Whatever it is, I can see why the dealership didn't want to clean this car, and to give you guys what little bit of background I have on the vehicle, it's actually a bit of a funny story as to why I'm even working on this car today. Now, if you recall the video on the Ford Escape from a couple of weeks ago, well, that vehicle had also been traded in, and the dealership's detail department refused to clean it, so they brought it to me. Well, over 4 million views on that video later, and someone at a different dealership in the city had actually seen that video, so when they got this car in on trade earlier this week, he knew what to do. He convinced his boss to bring the car to me. Now, you might ask, why would someone trade in a car that looks like this? Well, this is the downside of running a promo saying you'll take any vehicle on trade and give people a minimum of $1,000 for it. Doesn't really matter though, since they definitely brought it to the right guy. It takes a special set of tools, skills, and products to efficiently deal with a mess of this scope. Starting on the last step of getting the interior clean, and that's to deal with the headliner that's undoubtedly full of tar and dirt. So I'll be using my Mighty Dry upholstery tool, which has a water control knob on one side and then a stainless steel glide on the other. This allows me to control the water flow and ensure that I don't oversaturate the headliner while cleaning it. So once I've agitated the APC with my soft white drill brush, I'll start to make passes with the water running to help lift out all that nasty tar, and then when I'm satisfied it's clean, I'll shut off the water and just dry extract to get it as dry as possible. Headliners are a delicate material and difficult to clean, so you definitely need to be careful when you're doing this, as too much water or heat can actually cause the glues holding it up to release, and then you'll have a saggy headliner. Okay, well, since this can make such a big impact and it only takes about a minute, I figured I'd go ahead and get these foggy headlights polished up with some of my finishing polish to bring back a little clarity to them. Second last step now is to use my glass cleaner and a waffle weave towel on all this filthy glass, but it has no problem cutting through the crud to leave it looking clear and streak free. Now just before I finish up, I'm going ahead and running my ozone machine in the car with the air recirculating, though while it's true that the smoke smell will likely never completely come out, because you'd have to gut the interior down to bare metal and clean that too, the ozone should get it to a barely noticeable level after the thorough detail I did today.